Let's talk about how to add pick stitching back to your garments by hand. My name is Louis Jeremita and I own Primo Tailoring, an aspiring gent, and I'm going to show you today how to re-add a pick stitch into your garment. This is going to be most common after performing an alteration on an item that had pick stitching already, very commonly tapering a pair of pants. You got to remove that pick stitching and then you want to add it back on so there's no weird abrupt endings, making your garments look a lot more professional. They do make specialty machines that are able to do this. However, if you're doing this at home for yourself or for a client and you don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars, here's how you do it by hand. So what are you going to need for this job? Well, obviously a needle, whatever size is the smallest that you can easily maneuver with your hands, and a piece of thread. I am using this pre-coated stuff. It already comes waxed. Make sure that it matches the pick stitching color you originally have. However, if you want normal thread with some beeswax, will also do the trick. Also, make sure you have a thimble, which is something I have happened to have misplaced in this location. So I'm going to be going without, but I do not recommend. Now I'm going to use white so it's a little bit easier for you guys to watch me do this. What I'm going to be working on today is a pant leg. You can also do this on lapels, pocket flaps, or pocket jettings, but let's get into it. It's all going to be the same. I'm going to take my thread, not have a knot on the end, and I'm going to push it through from the inside, hiding it the best that I can, out to the outside. Now I'm going to leave a tail that's going to be about 1 inch long. And then from here, I'm going to take a bite back on itself. So if you're stitching in a straight line, a back bite is where you just go just behind the stitch and push through. You're just grabbing a little bit of that fabric. Perfect. That's going to hold your stitch in place. Now from here, you're going to stick your needle back in and you're going to poke it through about 1/4 inch ahead. Now the important part of pick stitching is to make sure that it is as uniform as possible. Now if you're doing this by hand, there is an expectation for it to not be uniform, and some people actually appreciate that look, but as the tailor, it's your job to get it as close as possible. Create a visual point on the front of the needle where you know that it needs to stick back through at, and run this stitch all the way down the garment. Now these continual stitches forward, we're not back tacking on these. We're just kind of doing like a simple running stitch. Little poke on the top, longer thread underneath. So something to keep in mind when applying your pick stitching is you not only want it to be uniform in its length, but also in its distance from the seam that you're sewing on. And again, if you're adding this to a pre-existing garment, make sure that you are taking the cues from the already existing ones, unless you plan on removing it completely and adding your own. And then when you get to the end, you're gonna finish it the exact same way you started. You're gonna do that quick little back tack, only grabbing that little piece of fabric. But I like to end by pushing the needle onto the inside and then clipping our thread. But hopefully that was helpful in you becoming more professional with your alterations. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.